Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Well, guys, welcome back to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. This one is going to be really, really cool. We've talked to a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, a lot of authors, a lot of e-com people, like physical products folks. This one is for the B2B folks around here. So that's a fantastic business model. It obviously can be a whole lot easier selling to businesses than to a whole bunch of little tiny individual customers. So I'm thrilled to have on today David Bush. I have learned so much from him and his brother as far as like they've got systems and the ways that they think about things. I'm like, where were you guys 20 years ago when I started my first business? But welcome to the show, David. I'm really glad you're here.
Well, thanks for having me, Sue. It's a pleasure to be able to just talk about some ideas and share some different strategies and tactics that have worked for others. And we're just excited to get a chance to have a good conversation. Always love talking about growing businesses and getting people released into the wild. So
I love it.
Let's jump into it.
You've got a specialty there. Now, and for everybody, and a reminder for David, I am on Starlink, so we're kind of at the satellite's mercy. If I seem to freeze up, just pretend like it's fine. It's just keep going. I will be back.
So. Yeah, we love our technology, especially when you can work from anywhere, right?
And so, that's for sure. And from nowhere.
And from nowhere. Yeah, we like to call Sue's place God's country because only God knows where it's at on a map.
Exactly.
Starlink and God have the two people that know where you're located at in the world. But
that's right. That's exactly right, man. Well, I'm thrilled. Why don't you just give us a little background for where you've come from, how you became an entrepreneur?
Yeah, you bet. So I think I've always been entrepreneur-minded. I started out as a young teenager growing up in my dad's auto body shop. My dad owned an auto body shop where he fixed cars, but it was kind of just a means to an end. He just loved customizing cars. So he did collision work, but his real passion was creating custom cars. And so my brother and I have a brother, Jeff, that's 2 years older. Jeff was a little bit more into cars than I was. I kind of liked the idea of buying and selling cars. I didn't like the idea of fixing them and painting them and doing all the work. So I don't know, maybe I was the most entrepreneurial of all because my brother became the painter and I was just more of the entrepreneur that wanted to buy cars and then turn around and sell them. So that's where I first started out. I went on to college, played professional football. That was a passion of mine as well. Not really entrepreneurial, but in pursuing my dream of playing professional football, I really learned to sell myself. And that sales technique or tactic or experience proved really valuable as an entrepreneur. After that, I got into the world of home mortgages. I became a salesperson, then a vice president of sales, and got into executive leadership, became an owner, and then got to a point after I did that for almost a decade where I decided that I wanted to take my passions for being an entrepreneur and living an extraordinary life and combine that into a entrepreneur coaching role and business. So 20 years ago, that's what I did. 2004, I started taking all of the principles and processes and procedures that I had learned from so many others that had helped me to be successful. And I had been a leader of other leaders and coaching other people to be successful, to do what they wanted to do as a owner of a mortgage business. Worked with a lot of financial planners, insurance agents, and small business owners. And I kind of shared some of those principles. It was one of my unique value propositions to the world as I shared some of what I had been learning with other entrepreneurs, and that built relationships and turned into valuable connections. But yeah, that's how I got started. And then my brother and I both turned 50. He 2 years before I did, but we always wanted to do something together. And so we ended up launching a business and then acquiring a marketing business. And I'm going to get a chance to share a little bit about both of those today. But we basically took our business consulting and this marketing business and blended them into this really powerful strategy for business growth. And so excited to share a little bit more about that today.
Oh yeah. I can't wait for you guys to see this, but I'm just gonna, David, you could just cover your ears for a moment. That's fine. So you know how sometimes in business, like there are things where you're like, all right, I should really have known this. This is foundational. How am I just now wrapping my brain around this? Or there's things where sometimes it's just like, it's so, I don't know, like amorphous that it's really.
Oh, you froze up on us, Sue. I think I'll take over for Sue while she's coming back into Starlink's circumference. But yeah, so
the basics of like, how does a B2B business actually grow?
Sorry, you cut out there for a little bit, so we were on radio silent. So can you restate the question for those of us that didn't hear it?
Yes, absolutely. So I was saying David has this great skill at making things that are kind of complicated, like really, really easy to follow. So David, if you would take us through just the beginnings of like, what does it mean? How do we get, a business that's B2B to actually scale? And I think I have to make you the host or something, probably.
Or host? I don't know which one you.
Let's see.
I can share my screen now, so I think that we're all set.
Oh, okay, great. Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, so the three things that I want to focus on today, there's a lot of things that can make a business successful in the B2B world, but there's three really important things that I would say that if you don't have these three things figured out, you're going to struggle. And obviously we could talk and make this a full week seminar if we wanted to touch every base, but the three primary things that I think that every business owner needs to really master and perfect are the 3Ds. So the first one is data. Who is your target audience? Who is your ideal client profile? Do you have a clearly identified ideal client profile and a target audience? And I didn't cover this, but for a little while I worked in radio sales. And I remember when I first got started, and this is right out of college, is that I told my manager that I had met with a customer, and he said, well, who's their target audience? And I said, well, they're looking for people between the ages of 24 and 64. And he said, and I go, well, they can pretty much work with male or female. And he goes, and I go, well, it's pretty much anywhere. They can work with anybody anywhere. And he goes, David, that's not a target market. That's a family reunion. And it was just a thing that I never forgot, because it was just something that he was trying to help me to help the business owner who was just a business owner who had a good idea and decided to open up a business and had maybe had some customers because they were fulfilling a need, but they had never really done a good job of identifying their target audience. And so that's one of the things that we do with business owners, is really help them to drill down. Who is your target audience? What is your ideal client profile? Obviously the psychographics, the demographics, all the geographic aspects of it. And I know that that's hard for a lot of business owners to do, because they feel like it disqualifies certain people, and they don't want to disqualify people, because then they start thinking a scarcity mindset, and they start thinking that I don't want to miss out on opportunities because I could use cash flow. Any client is a good client, and I need a lot of them to make this business go. So they don't want to niche down, but in failing to really target out who they're looking for, they miss out on the opportunity to connect with their people. And so the first and foremost thing that we do is help people to develop a list of target candidates that match their ideal client profile. The second is creating a digital outreach campaign that moves people.
I'm sorry. Did you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll show that in just a second.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So the second one is the digital outreach, and building a relationship sequence that is a predictable process that can move people through a process of information
Mhm.
to not only help you to build a relationship with your target audience, but also to awaken them to what it is that you can do to help them to resolve their pain and problems, or to help them to accelerate their passion and their pleasure. And so really what we're trying to do with the digital outreach is, creating a predictable system that moves people from contact to suspect to prospect to potential client to client or customer. And if you don't have that dialed in yet, it's okay. There's still time, but you don't want to allow too much more time to take on. And you want to start thinking about ways that you can delegate that and automate that so that it happens consistently, so that you're not subject to how you feel that particular day or how busy you are. Because what happens with a lot of business owners, Sue, and you and I both know this, is that we just get busy with other things. And then we stop focusing in on one of the most important things, which, new customers are not everything, but they rank right up there with oxygen when you don't have enough of them. And you need cash and you need income and all that kind of thing. So we really want to make sure that we can put out some of that lead generation process in building relationship with our primary target audience in the business to business category, and then moving them through a process to a point where we can actually determine, are they a qualified prospect or candidate or client or not. And then the last piece is the dials. And the dialing aspect of connecting with people on the phone is not everybody's favorite thing to do. But if you only rely on technology and you're all high tech and no high touch, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And you're going to have to make up with technology what you lack in personal relationship. So what we try to do is we try to accelerate the process of dialing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's the 3Ds: the data, the understanding who your target audience is, and having a good qualified list of contact information so that you can engage those people in multiple different methods of communication. Having a digital outreach campaign that starts the conversation and builds relationship electronically and socially to then begin to have that conversation with them personally, and then doing the dialing and outbound conversation reach outs that moves people to the next step. That's oftentimes called sales. Not everybody that's a business owner wants to be known as a salesperson, but if you don't take on a role of sales, you don't have a business, right? You don't have a business if you don't have sales. Sales makes the machine work. And if nobody's doing those 3Ds, then you're likely not succeeding as a business. And you don't have to do them for forever. You just start the process. And then once you build the process, then you can begin to delegate and delete things from your calendar, and you can move them onto somebody else's calendar. So any questions on that, Sue, before I jump in?
I love that. It's a very, like a high level view, like you can actually, you float it above like you're on a drone and here's all the working pieces. I think it's a great, concise explanation of how business actually works. Thank you.
Good. So let's just go through and just talk a little bit about the tools that we use and how we take these 3Ds and kind of give you some ideas of how you can leverage these 3Ds and leverage us if we have an opportunity to serve you. So Sue already did a good job of introducing my brother Jeff and I. And what we really do at BDR.ai is that we help you to take all of the different channels of communication and source it into one format so that you can contact as many prospective target audience, ideal client profiles, and move them through that process. So the first thing that we do is we focus in on data. Now there's a lot of different places that you can pull data. One of the ways that we oftentimes will show our prospective clients how they can target their target audience is on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has millions and millions of records, and it's free, right? You can go in there and start looking up your target audience. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through a little Q&A with Sue, and I'm going to show you how we use LinkedIn for those people. We'll do it slow. You can watch the recording and rewind it if you need to, but we're going to just kind of do a little role play, Sue, and you and I are just going to go through the process of finding your target audience, just as an example. Okay.
Great.
So if we were to go to LinkedIn, there's a link right here that gives you an opportunity to open up your network. When you click on that link, it opens up this sidebar over here. And if you select connections, then you'll get a chance to see all of your connections. If you go to this search with filter, you can get into a little bit more of a drilled down search where you can begin to target your ideal client profile. So we're obviously looking at people. We could go in there and look at groups if you wanted to focus on particular groups. Many people are familiar with that. You can look at events that are in your specific filter. But right now, let's just leave it on people. And then this is first, second, and third degree connections. So first degree connections are people that you are connected with on LinkedIn. Second degree connections are people that are connected to people that you're connected with. You're not connected with them, but they're connected to somebody you're connected with. And this is going to be your highest, most best response rate when you are inviting people to connect, is going after second degree connections. So if I was to click on second degree connections, and let's just say that I'm just going to focus on second degree connections. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out a search that is showing on my screen what my connections would be for second degree. If I take this exact same search link and I give it to Sue, and she uses the same search link right up here, she's going to get different results because she has different second degree connections than I do. So it's going to play out, but let me just kind of give that disclaimer so everybody understands what we're doing here. So when it comes down to your target audience, Sue, what location is your target audience typically located in that you're trying to build a relationship with?
So can we do a whole country?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, United States?
So yes, just the States. Yep.
Okay. So if we choose United States, we can check on that. If you want to choose multiple states, multiple cities, you can do that as well. Is there any specific companies that your target audience is working at that you could use as a filter, or is that not as important?
Yeah, not as important for mine.
Okay. So then we would go to all filters, and now we would go into all the different options that you could choose from. So you could choose from a past company that they worked at. You could choose a school. So did you go to college, Sue?
I did.
What school did you go to?
Rutgers University.
Okay. So if we put in Rutgers University, we could connect Sue with anyone in the United States that has Rutgers University in their profile, which, what's their mascot?
Scarlet Knights.
The Scarlet Knights. So other Scarlet Knights are going to be very kind to Scarlet Knights. Now, Rutgers is in the Big Ten in football. And so if a person from Rutgers sent me a connection request and I'm in Iowa and I'm an Iowa State or Iowa fan, probably not going to have the same connection than if you're going after other alumni. But that's one of the ways that you can look for people that are in your target audience that have this as a background. You're going to have a better chance of getting a good solid connection and moving them to a conversation. We don't have to choose Rutgers. That could be another thing that we do in the future. What industries are you typically servicing, Sue?
For this one, let's say coaches.
Okay. So professional coaching and training would be a category. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that English is the primary language, and if that's the case, you don't necessarily have to put that in there, but that can be a qualifier. When it comes down to service categories, you can go in there and say coaching and mentoring, business consulting. You can put in consulting if that's another option that you'd like to include. You can go in there and add additional services in there that if you wanted to. I don't know if we put in, executive coaching could be one, life coaching, I'm assuming that would be another one, maybe health coaching, healthcare consulting. Let me see if we got any health coaching, no health coaching. So would this be kind of a good basic?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. Yep.
Okay. So if I choose to click on show results, so in my second degree connections, I have 5,200 connections. Now I'm going to take that same link and I'm going to see if I can send it over to Sue in the chat
Mhm.
and see if Sue can click on that link.
Yep.
And then Sue, when you go to that link on your LinkedIn, what does yours show?
About 6,400 results.
6,400. So now if we wanted to target that down even further, we could go in there and say, now just for giggles, I'm going to throw it in there and say, Rutgers University, just to see if there's any numbers. So I only have 44 people that went to Rutgers, but I would say that those 44 would probably be pretty targeted, right? And I bet, Sue, if you went into your filters and you adjusted your filters, you could probably end up finding more because you went to Rutgers. You probably are already connected to people in Rutgers. So you may have a lot more people than 44, but because I didn't go there, mine has a lot less.
Gotcha. That's cool.
And you could also go in there and let's just say that we took off Rutgers University and went back to a higher number, but let's say that we wanted to put in a title. And there's this thing called a Boolean search. And a Boolean search is where you put the capital letters OR after each title. So let's say that Sue wants to focus on people that refer to themselves as CEO or Chief Executive Officer or Founder. Sorry, I'm getting messages over here. Founder or owner. So if we were to put that into our search term, I only get 2,700. So, and if I take this same link and I send it over to Sue, and Sue clicks on that link, she had 6,400 or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I had 6,400. Let's see now. Now 3,800.
Yeah. So now you've got a much smaller target. Now, with LinkedIn, you can send out about 100 connection requests per week. That's about the limit, 100 to 200. And it really kind of depends upon your SSI score. And if you go to, you just put in LinkedIn SSI score in your Google search, it'll come up with this link right here, I believe. And then if you click on this button right here, get your score, it'll tell you how you score in LinkedIn. And the higher your score, the more likely you're going to get connection requests accepted. And the more likely you're going to have a higher total when it comes to sending out connection requests. And obviously, if you can send out 200 connection requests versus 100, a lot more valuable, right? Because you're having a quantity number. When you can go and scale from 100 to 200 connection requests with your target audience, you're going to get a law of averages, right? You're going to get a percentage of those connection requests that are going to accept. Usually I see about 20 to 40% connection requests when you're going to your second degree connections. If you're going to your third degree, closer to 15 to 20%. Third degree connections are people that are just in the masses. They're not people that are connected to people that you're connected with. They're just part of the masses. So just using LinkedIn can help you to identify your target audience, and then you could go through each one of those people and you could actually connect with them, and you could do it just 25 people a day, sending out 25 connection requests a day. If you wanted to do more, you could do more. You also have the ability to go out to third-party data vendors, and we actually have relationships with all the top business-to-business data vendors, and so we actually house all of that data inside our platform. So we can actually show you how to go find people and get email addresses, phone numbers, and actually have verified email address and phone numbers. LinkedIn will only share with you what the LinkedIn member has chosen to share. So if they choose to share their email address and phone number with you, then you can access it in their contact information. But if they posted an email address and phone number in LinkedIn and they're sharing it, it may or may not be the best phone number or email address to reach out to them. So this is where third-party premium data or enriched data would be valuable. And I can share with you a little bit more on that. But before I go on to share more, Sue, anything that you think would be valuable just to recap or to discuss a little further?
You're doing fantastic. Like, I love this. It's so logical, and just, yeah, keep going.
So if I was to go into the our platform, and I'll share with you a little bit more about what we do with our platform, but the platform is basically just designing to take all of the contact data and organize it in such a way where you don't have to do it manually. It does the finding and the reach out electronically. So let me just show you how that looks from a big picture standpoint. And we go in and we validate all the data so that the data that we're providing for business to business data, it's as accurate as could be from a scale standpoint. So if you're looking for 1,000 leads of people that match your target audience, going out and seizing premium data is going to be the best way for you to get the most quality contact information in addition to the LinkedIn address. So the way that our system works is we basically go find that data. We help you to get your list of targeted prospects that meet your ideal client profile. And then we go ahead and actually do the digital automation of sending LinkedIn connection requests. So we've created a technology that automates the process of sending LinkedIn connection requests. And we don't do 100 a day. We just send out the maximum number of LinkedIn connection requests that your profile will allow so that you're maximizing your LinkedIn account. A lot of people that do business to business, they haven't really leveraged LinkedIn. I know that Sue, in her email, she said, LinkedIn sucks for finding business. It's not necessarily that it sucks. It's just that you may not have learned how to leverage it in the way that it can be leveraged. And so sometimes just showing them how you can use technology to leverage it, you may not want to spend any time on LinkedIn, but if that's where your target audience is located and you can connect with them, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. Just do it, because that's where they're at, and that's where you can find them. I mean, if I want to go fish, go fish for bass, I'm not going to go to a place that's known for bluegill. I'm going to go to the place, even if it's a harder place to reach, and I got to hike to the mountain, to the lake where my fish are located that I want to fish for. I got to go to where the fish are. And LinkedIn is one of those places where there's a lot of business contacts to fish from. And I don't know, maybe fishing's not the best analogy, because then you feel like you catch people. But I like to think of it as I catch people from the LinkedIn lake, and I take them to a better place and help them to get better resources. So in our system, we get about a 20 to 40% acceptance rate when we're connecting out with LinkedIn connections. And then what we do is we go ahead and automate the actions that are available to perform on LinkedIn. So common things that people do. And every time you do one of these actions, Sue, it actually sends a notification to the individual who you're interacting with. So the first thing we do is we view their profile. So I don't know if you ever got a notification that said, somebody just viewed your profile on LinkedIn. The next thing is we follow their profile. So when somebody follows you, it's like having followers on Instagram or on Facebook, but you get a notification that somebody's following you. And then the third thing we do is we endorse their skills, which is a very attractive strategy, because if I was to come in and I was to endorse Sue's skills, the top 5 skills that Sue says, these are the skills that I'm good at. And I come in and I give her an attagirl and I go, yeah, Sue, I endorse you with your 5 skills. Based upon what you're telling us are your skill sets, I trust your recommendation, and I'm just going to endorse you as a form of, helping each other out. And what happens then is that they go in and they endorse my skills, because there's this thing called the law of reciprocity, where if somebody does something nice for you, you're likely to do something nice for them. So if you do something nice for people on LinkedIn that are in your target audience, they do things that are nice for you. That's called the beginning of a relationship. And you're building up what we call relationship equity, so that when you go and you make a withdrawal, you ask them to do something, they're more likely to do it because there's been this relationship. You're not a cold, annoying pest that's calling out of nowhere. You're actually a welcome guest. Then what we do is we go ahead and we send out a series of engaging messages. And I'm going to show you how you can create these on your own in less than 60 seconds. And it's absolutely mind-blowing using AI. We also incorporate emails into campaigns. So we actually send out emails inside of a sequence to support your LinkedIn messages. Because I don't know when the last time you, Sue, looked at your LinkedIn messages. Hopefully you're looking at them at least a couple times a week, but sometimes people forget about LinkedIn because it's not their platform, so then they don't go check them. So if you are checking your email and somebody is sending you an email and saying, this is one of the things that we put in our messages, in our emails, sorry. Hey, Sue, I sent you a couple of messages on LinkedIn, but I never heard back. So I wanted to send an email just to make sure that you saw them, and would love to have an opportunity to connect. So
Good
now
way to put it.
gets that email and she's like, what did I miss, right? Fear of missing out. So now she goes back into LinkedIn and she goes, what did this Dave Bush send me? And then she looks and goes, oh, he endorsed my skills, and now the notifications are showing up. So now you're just building better relationships with your business to business target audience. And then the last thing that we do is we encourage and support warm follow-up conversations by dialing the individual prospective candidate or client. Not everybody wants to do that, but you don't have to want to do it or like to do it. You just got to do it if you want to build business to business relationships. So this is how it looks on the back end. The platform's called BDR.ai. This is the process that we use, and all of this can be customized. This is just basically developing a sequence and utilizing technology to automate, streamline, and simplify your follow-up. So any questions on that, Sue? Did I cover that okay?
I think you did. So, and Alex, I think maybe this has answered it, but Alex was asking, do you have any automation tools for communicating with the people who respond? So
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to share that with you. And I want to just go through and just kind of show you right now how you can create an amazing, amazing follow-up process for your prospective audience. Okay. So I'm going to do this for Sue because she's so sweet and we love her so much. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to open up ChatGPT. Let me open up my computer here. And I'm going to show you how simple this is. So this is an example prompt that I use to help individuals to create a nurturing lead generation sequence. So I'm just going to paste it in here, and I'll paste it in the chat as soon as I'm done editing it for Sue. So I'm going to create a 24-week lead generation nurturing campaign, and I'm going to do it for Sue, Anderson. And Sue, what's your website?
for this one, we're going to say Triumph Communications. So it's triumphcom.com.
Triumphcom.com. Did I look that right? And then I'm going to do it. This nurturing campaign is going to be to new LinkedIn connections using LinkedIn messaging and email and outbound phone calls to generate more appointments leads with, and then I'm going to just change the target audience right here. Health, life, business, and executive coaches and consultants. Am I right there? Is that the target?
Perfect. Yep, that'll work. That's great.
And then we're going to put in there what our offer is to offer her. And what kind of services is it, Sue?
Done for you, lead generation machine. Or asset, I guess.
Machine services that generates qualified leads and helps moves leads through the sales pipeline. Would that
That
be
sounds good. Perfect.
lead generation machine and services? Okay, so this is the message, and I'm going to put this in the chat, and hopefully Sue will post this with the recording for all of you that are watching the recording. So this is the message prompt, and again, putting the prompt in there is not like a one and done. You can change the prompt if you don't like the results, but look at what ChatGPT can create. And I'm going to time it, Sue. So let's see if we can get the stopwatch on it. Anybody have a stopwatch? Oh, I got it on my phone. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm going to keep it on my phone and just show you the power of using AI, if for those of you that are maybe a little bit nervous about using AI. So I'm going to put the stopwatch on, and I'm going to click on this button right here, and then I'm going to click on go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Just look what it comes up with.
Wow.
So we're at 30 seconds. We're through week 8. 50 seconds. We may not be under a minute. Now we're to week 13. We're over a minute, but we are developing some pretty powerful messaging for Sue to incorporate in her lead generation process for working with coaches. Now she's going to follow up and close the deal. Week 18. She's got an email incorporated in there, and she's done. 1 minute and 42 seconds. She got a 24-week campaign with all of her messaging and all of her process. And she just has to click this button and copy and paste that into a Google document. And now she has a process for following up and what to send to those people. But the process has to be done by her, or she has to delegate it to a virtual assistant, which some people would do. But this is a process that's very manual. So what we do is we basically help our clients to develop this messaging and then allow them to tailor it to, what it is that would be their language. And then we go in there and we upload it into our system. So this is an example of the back end of our system. So I'm focusing in on 3 different niches right now that I'm targeting for our services. And so what we do is when we create a new campaign, we just go in there and we click on add search. We can use the search navigation URL that I just showed you with Sue. I posted it in the chat. Sue clicked on it, and that information went right to Sue. So we would take that link and post it right there. And how many leads did you have, Sue? Was it?
I think it was 3,200.
3,200. So we would put that in there, and it would pull at least 2,500 people, the first 2,500 people in that system, and it would start the process of the reaching out. And it would take that campaign that we just created on ChatGPT, and it would automate the sequencing of sending all of that out to your prospective target audience. Pretty powerful, right? You can also target a URL. So if there's a really popular URL on LinkedIn, that people are getting a lot of comments on. You could target people that commented on that particular post or liked it. You can focus on reaching out to people that are attending an event. So if there's a trade show or something that you're going to be attending, you can reach out and connect with people prior to attending the trade show. You can also target specific groups. If you're using Sales Navigator or Recruiter on LinkedIn, which is an extra membership cost, then you can get more customized filtered searches. Or if you use third-party premium data, you can upload that content right there. So now you've got your target audience, you've got your data. Now it's just taking the done-for-you sequence builder and just building out the sequence. So this is basically the sequences that we build out. So we take the actions that we just created for Sue in that 24-week nurturing campaign, and now Sue is automated her social media. And so if she's, let's just say that she's connecting with 100 new connections of coaches that matched her ideal client profile based upon the filters that we put on there, and she's now sending them LinkedIn messages, interacting on their profile. She's sending them emails, and then she has little reminders that pop up that say, hey, Sue, call this person. So now when Sue has prospects that are coming through her system, it's happening on autopilot. She doesn't have to manage a virtual assistant. It's all done on its own. And if I just click on the campaign, you can see the campaign results. So right now I have 137 business owners that I have targeted that have accepted my connection request. Out of those 137 people that have accepted my connection request, I've been messaging them, and 42 of them have sent a reply. Not every reply is a positive one, just like in any other aspect of follow-up. But just as an example, this particular, and this is a CEO, co-founder, and partner for Funnel Studio, Vernon.
You're still showing ChatGPT. Is that what you wanted?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. I thought I shared all of my screen, but I will go back. I apologize.
That's okay.
So I went to the campaign, sorry, and then I pulled up my targeted campaign towards focusing in on the different places that I can pull data from. So again, I can upload a customized list from premium data records with all of the up-to-date information, or I can use the search URL that Sue had. I can target a post, I can target an event, I can target a group. And once I add that in there, it automatically moves those people into my sequence. And then this was the page that I was sharing to myself of moving them through the process. So we basically customize this for every one of our clients. And we have a lot of these that are done for you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And we use ChatGPT to show you ways that you can, say it differently, change the tone of voice, change it to more of your persona, and we can do it in 90 seconds. So once we've got the campaign up and running, what's happening is that you're getting reach outs that are happening. Just imagine 100 connection requests a week. If you're getting a 20% response rate of acceptance, you're getting 20 new LinkedIn connections every week. Times 4 is 80. 80 times 12 is 960. So let me ask you a question, Sue. If you could connect with 960 coaches in the next 12 months, and you could build a relationship with them, send them an email, send them a valuable resource, send them a testimonial, send them a free report, send them an opportunity for an invitation to a webinar or a consultation or an invitation to your Facebook group. If you were to have 960 potential qualified candidates go through that process, how many of them do you think would be qualified and interested in your services? If you had to come up with a number, what percentage?
Yeah, man, at least 100.
So if you get 100 that are interested, how many of those 100 do you actually close or sign up for services? 10? I mean, if you got a 10% conversion rate, 10 new clients after 12 months, I don't know how many you'd have. I don't know how many new clients you have every single month, but for what you would pay a virtual assistant, a real human being, or what you would have to pay with your time, which I imagine is pretty expensive, to do all that work, now you could outsource that to the technology,
Mhm.
and we could actually help you to do it. So
That's
that's
really
the
cool.
technology of sending out messages, but you can see here, people will reply with different messages. And the cool part is that if they reply, you can just save some replies right here. So you can add your own saved replies and you can personalize it. So you don't have to think about replying and customizing it for every person. You can just click on the saved reply and it automatically posts your Calendly link or whatever the case may be. But this is just an example, Sue, of a person that, I started the conversation with them on May 17th using the automation.
Mhm.
And what happened is that it took multiple messages without any response. I mean, I finally got a response on September 20th.
Mm.
And that's where
Yeah.
a lot of people with business to business business models, they struggle, is that they don't have the commitment and consistency in their follow-up.
Mhm.
And so if they can automate it and they have really good data, they're not talking to the wrong person, they're talking to the people that meet their ideal client profile, then they're able to send the messages in multiple different message communication styles, email,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, and the personal phone call. You're basically just moving people through a basic sales process without
Mhm.
having to master some weird technology and digital tools that create sales funnels and things of that nature. You're basically saying, here's my contacts, here's the people I want to talk to, this is what I want to say to them, and then all you have to do is just check in and say, where are they? So if I'm getting responses, you check your inbox just like you would check your inbox with LinkedIn, and it
Mhm.
synchronizes everything into one inbox. Emails,
Wow.
everything comes into one. And so that's the basics of digital outreach. Is there any questions on that? I think that we kind of covered a lot of that.
I don't see, guys, if you have questions, put it in the chat, but I'm not seeing any yet. The one thing that I'm like, this solves such a major problem for any kind of B2B outreach. Like you showed, like, I don't know how many times, that was like 9 or 10, or, it's very easy to give up. Like if
Yeah,
it's a human, you're like, this isn't working, or you forget, or, oh, I'll do that later. And that consistency, and you always hear stories of people going, thank you so much for being persistent, following up with me. I really do need this. It's just been crazy. I appreciate that like pursued me.
yeah,
And it's very hard to keep up that consistency as a human. So that's a fantastic reason to bring in our bot friends.
yeah. And that's where I think AI is going to play the biggest role in sales and business development, is replacing those repetitive, you know, remedial tasks
Yeah.
that we don't want to keep doing. Or just that whole idea of brainstorming. I didn't really want to come up with a 24-week combination message sequence, but if I can get an example, now I can
Yeah.
customize it into my own voice. I can work with a living document rather than having to have a blank sheet of paper and going,
So much
that's
better.
not good enough. And if you use AI correctly, you can just regenerate new responses based upon new prompts.
Right.
See it from a female perspective. Use a little bit of Tennessee slang, or have something that kind of resonates and is more my persona. That's the cool thing with AI, is that you can teach it to be more like Sue, so that
Hmm.
it can do more Sue-like stuff. So I'm going
That's
to put
great.
a link in the chat that talks about
Great.
sales statistics. I mean, if you just
Sure.
look at some of these statistics, Sue, um, it's really powerful in terms of just the number of follow-ups and the different methods of
Mm,
communication that's required to help people to succeed.
that's for
And
sure.
and the last piece is the dialing piece, and that's where you pick up the phone that weighs 155 pounds sometimes, and you're just
Hmm.
like, oh, this is a heavy phone. But because you have a warmer audience, because you have developed value and you've done more of like a give, then ask, it feels like a better conversation than if you're
Yeah.
just reaching out to people cold. And we do have a digital dialer, so most people can dial 100 people a week. That would probably be a pretty realistic expectation if you spread it out 20 people a day. Some people can do more than that. Executive salespeople may do 50. Some people may do 100 a day if that's all they're doing is just straight out outbound business to business sales. But business
Hmm.
owners, probably 20 per day would be a pretty good target.
Hmm.
Um, our dialer can dial 100 to 150 phone numbers every hour and
Wow.
actually connect you on live voice with 10 to 12 people every hour.
Hmm.
So if you have all of this data that you have been putting into the system and you're reaching out to your target audience using digital outreach, and then you take that data and you put it into the dialer, and now it's dialing faster so you don't have to do it, and it's connecting you on live voice. So the person says hello, and you go, "Hi, Sue, this is David Bush. Hey, we connected on LinkedIn, and I just sent a couple of messages, and I just wanted to reach out and introduce myself. I do," and then you go into what it is that you do, and I would just love to know if you'd like to have a conversation. I'd love to share a little bit more about what I do to help people like you to get better leads, better qualified leads, and now you're just getting things done faster, and you don't have to be on the phone very much. If you're on the phone 1-2 hours a day or 1 hour a week, you're probably having more conversations with that 1 hour a week than you are calling 20 people a day for 5 days every week.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So a question did come in from Alex. He says, is there a particular element or approach in a message that you feel encourages people to respond more?
Yeah, that whole give, ask, Alex, is probably my best strategy, so I like to start conversations by making an observation, and the observation can be personable but scalable. So if you're talking to coaches, you can say things like, you must really enjoy your work as a coach, and the impact that you make. So I'm edifying the individual. I'm making an observation about something that they're doing or something that they're accomplishing. If you have a targeted list and you're just targeting people on the East Coast, you can say things like, I'm sure that the weather can sometimes be challenging on the East Coast. How is things this fall? You can bring it down to a more territorial area if you want to customize it that way. But I love start a conversation by making an observation and try to find something where you can have some common ground. I see that you're a coach. I work with thousands of coaches from all around the world. Well, there's an observation that's a connection point. I see you went to Rutgers, right? You can target a campaign just to people that went to Rutgers. I was there in this year to this year. When were you there? That's a good way to start a conversation and get a response. The next thing is to, ask questions, right? If you want to get a good response, ask questions that are not hard to answer. So what's a question that you would feel comfortable answering to somebody that just connected with you on LinkedIn? Right? You wouldn't say, hey, what is your biggest barrier to growing your sales right now? Right? That's not a question that I would feel comfortable answering to somebody that I just connected with. But I would be interested in answering a question that said, hey, Sue, thanks for connecting. Looking forward to being a valuable part of your network. Who's a good connection for you? Right? And if Sue knows that she wants to grow her business, that's probably why she's on LinkedIn. She's probably going to respond with, this is who I'm looking for. And now I know who she's looking for. I can bring value back to say, would love to introduce you to people that are in my connection pool. Do you see anybody in there that you'd like an introduction to? I'll take a look and I'll get back to you and see if I can find anybody that might be a good fit for that. That could be another simple way to, again, give, right? Give edification, give a compliment. I see you have a successful work history. I see you have a successful bio. I see you are very successful in what you do in coaching. What's the best part about coaching that you love the most, right? People like to talk about things that are important to them. And then I would say, ask them to, one of the things that we just did for Stacy was she sent out her TEDx video. So she sent out her TEDx video and she used our technology to send it out amongst all of her first degree connections. So it was very simple for her to send out a very important message through LinkedIn without necessarily having to sit down and send it out individually to every single person that she's connected to. And then she asked for their takeaways. You may have received the message and you may have seen the video. She may have sent it to you personally. maybe she sent it through our system. You never know.
Right,
So that's
exactly.
another way where if you're giving them something that you have done, this is a project I recently did, would love to get your takeaways on it. This is a video I recently did. This is a white paper that I recently promote or really recently published that tells you X, Y, and Z. So those are the things that I try to stay valuable on the front end so that I can build up that relationship equity so that I can know when I go to make a withdrawal, I've got something that's a connection. Now,
Yeah.
some people just, I don't know why they're on LinkedIn. They don't want to be LinkedIn. They don't want to be linked into anybody. So you just have to understand that if you get, I saw a post today on LinkedIn that said, LinkedIn doesn't owe you anything. Don't
That's true.
expect anything from LinkedIn. Expect something from the work that you do to build relationships and add value. If you have invested into other human beings, just being on LinkedIn doesn't give you anything. But if you are sharing things that you're knowledgeable at with your audience and you're adding value through your posts, you're commenting and liking on other people's posts, and you are sending messages and building relationships that's not super spammy or salesy, you're probably going to have a good chance of developing more relationships. So in conclusion, if you want more help with identifying your target audience and pinpointing the available data, I didn't go through in detail, but LinkedIn is one source of data. Another source is our database of over 600 million records where we have verified email addresses and contact records for different industries and titles and things of that nature. And all of that comes with our system. The third option is we can go out there and seek out more premium data where you are focusing in on a very subset niche or target audience that may not be able to be filtered through LinkedIn, LinkedIn Navigator, or through our platform. And if you're looking for, mobile phone numbers, people that you want to contact by mobile phone because you know you're going to get a better response rate, that's something that we can offer, which is a premium service. And if you'd like to automate your outreach and build more authentic connections with your target audience on social media without having to do all the heavy lifting, it's as low as $250 a month to do the LinkedIn outreach technology using the email complement as well. And then if you want to have it completely managed for you, it's only $500 a month. And it's basically like you have your own digital assistant that's doing all of your responding. You don't even have to log into the platform. It's just a virtual assistant that's handling everything on your behalf. So yeah, that's the basic.
That's amazing. Now, where would they go to?
Yeah, we offered 100 free leads for anybody that reached out. So if you just go to bdr.ai, so Business Development Representative is what BDR stands for, bdr.ai, and then just contact us. And if you just let us know that you found this on the Entrepreneurs Gone Wild webinar, then we'll make sure that we can get you your 100 premium leads, which will get you their LinkedIn profile, their email address, their phone number, their career title, the company that they work for. So that's the free gift for just being a part of this amazing group.
That is fantastic. Guys, I've gotten to see, the hood, pop the hood and look at all this stuff. It's an incredible software. I can't wait to hear who's using it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this just saved 10 hours of my week. Or, hey, I was able to go outside and go play because David's magical machine did all my LinkedIn stuff for me.
I would love to get more entrepreneurs out in the wild doing the stuff that they really love to do rather than, doing digital outreach and spending time in front of their computer or screens all the time.
Yeah. That would be a fantastic thing. So guys, I put that in our Facebook chat. It'll also go in the article that we've got. Is there a limit on how many people are going to get the 100 if they come in after?
Well, let's just say, what would you say? I'll let you decide the number, Sue. So what would you say would be a good quality number?
I think if we cap it at 25, because otherwise it could get, might be a little nuts.
So. All right. Well, you better get it done. You better get your name in there now. If you're watching a recording, you better jump on it. Go to bdr.ai and click on contact us and just fill out the contact form and make sure you put in Entrepreneurs Gone Wild or EJW or EGW, sorry. And we'd love to serve you guys. So thanks, Sue.
Fantastic.
So much.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
You. All right.
Appreciate you being here. Bye, guys.
Bye.